We need to up our game and shit. We need to do comedy butt naked, right?
His goodbyes. He blew his eye socket off and his eyeball fell out.
White women keep kidnapping us. Y'all seen The Blind Side?
Aren't you glad we have that disclaimer at the beginning of the episode?
It's going to come in handy for this episode.
This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Voice. Not another episode. This is the Halloween episode.
Halloween episode.
What's up, Marcos? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited for this one.
You excited? You don't like scary stories, though.
No.
You look a little nervous.
I'm gonna piss myself.
Yeah, fucking little wuss. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, at least I'm here.
Yeah. Oh,
Courtney's in the building.
Clap it up for that. Clap it up.
we got Black Joaquin here.
Hey.
What's up, Black Joaquin? How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm swell. How are you?
No, I'm doing good, man. And we got a special guest host today because Corday called in sick, I think. What's up? Introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Jose Contreras. I'm glad to be back. Mr. Holiday Man in the building.
A lot of you that don't know, new to the podcast, this guy used to come for every holiday episode.
Yep.
Yeah, but then he got big, and now he's wearing open-toe sandals and shit.
Hey,
and,
man, it's a Sunday. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, we got Phil with the ones and twos. What's up, Phil?
What's cracking, crackers?
All right. And we got a special guest back again for a second time back for a Halloween episode. What's up, Mr. Fernando Gallegos?
Hey, how's it going?
Woo! With the brujeria shirt, setting the tone. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
We had a comment on your last episode when you came to talk about some of the ritual stuff that you were involved with back in the day, and someone commented. Did you see that? Did I show you?
Just one person.
Okay. No, yeah, it is. But they questioned. They said that you didn't train under the real order or the Golden Dawn.
What the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at this classism in the devil community.
You wouldn't believe.
Can you explain that for people
You
who
really
don't know?
expected peace in the devil community?
So
Hold on.
with a lot of these organizations, because these are all secret organizations.
Right.
There's been schism after schism after schism, and so if you're not part of that original chain, they see you, they look down on you.
Yeah.
Like the Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The mafia.
A little bit. Oh, you ain't from Sicily? Yeah.
Ritualistic secret society again.
yeah. So if you're not part of that original chain, they'll look down on you. Like
Yeah.
you're not authentic enough. And so like there's all these snobs.
Right. Yeah.
I get a bunch of those comments on my videos. I not to mention like all the Christian fanatic, like, oh, you're going to hell for
Yeah.
'cause,
The Christian fanatics don't care what branch of it you're
Yes.
from. You're from it, man. But they at least recognize that
you
you're a
go.
real one.
there you go.
They're more respectful, see.
See, that's why I feel like
your
every group has that little bit of illegitimacy to it, because everybody just wants to be a part of the group so they can be a part of the higher tier and be snobby.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, all right, now it's corny. Now I'm questioning all this shit now.
Yeah. That's like, with music too. Oh, you fucking poser.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it's the same thing.
How do you get to the higher tiers, though? Can you even, or is it just like?
Yeah, you can. You can move up. Just you got to complete the degrees and stuff like that. And you can move up, and then eventually you could get invited to different.
Who like says, yeah, you graduated from that? Because can you go to college for this shit?
From what I've heard, you hear from them.
There
You don't.
you go.
It's not something you can like.
It depends.
It's not something that like. But some of those like. It depends on the group, but that's what I've heard.
Yes.
I've dabbled in, not dabbled, but.
Can I tell you my speculation? And it's kind of like what you just said. It's like, I've heard this, and then like sometimes they'll call you, whatever. But like, if you've never been called, how the fuck do you actually know? Because you're speculating on this too. This is kind of like a religion thing where you're like, I think there's a God. I'll figure it out when I get there. But like, I'm pretty sure there's one, right? You're like, there's a top tier. Same thing with like, what are they called? Masons, right? And you're like, I've met a couple Masons and Freemasons, and you're
There's
like,
one right here,
I'm sorry,
right now.
I just met you, but like, you know what I mean? But then you like, my skepticism is like, everyone that I've talked to has said something different. and they're like, oh, like if I've said I've met you before and we talked about your situation, you're like, that guy's not real. Like I'm the real one. You know what I mean? It's like, how the fuck if everyone says
corny.
Yeah.
But it's a real phone call? Because I was gonna say, what if it comes in as a scam likely or some shit?
Let me break it down like this.
Would you like to be part of the Freemasons?
They don't actively go recruiting. If you want to be a Mason, you gotta ask one.
Seek them.
So, yeah. So so you have the open group, and then those are the 3 degrees, the 3 main degrees. But those are wide open, and then you can move into different things afterwards. So you could go into the Shriners, like all the Shriners hospitals that pay for children's health care and stuff like that, free of cost, you know. And those are all the doctor Freemasons that go into that. Ooh. If you want to go into more esoteric type of stuff, learn more about the Bible, the hidden, secrets. You go into the Scottish Rite, and it has 32 degrees, which I went through, and then there's other degrees that you don't hear about, but they're there. And those are the ones that are invitation only.
So y'all be having eyes wide shut parties and shit?
No.
Oh, this kind of what this is. That's what I'm getting.
I think that's a different organization.
I think that's also just like rich people that
there's one like that in Oakland, which I don't want to mention the name, but yes.
Oh yeah,
there is.
Because they'll come for us.
Yeah,
they be on meth and everything. I bet.
I think I can mention it's called the OTO.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Different Thelma groups. It was started originally by Aleister Crowley.
Thelma. Yes. Is it Thelma or did the name change?
There's different branches, but it's.
You familiar with Aleister Crowley?
No.
I am.
Is that what was he like? 40s, 50s? 40s, 50s. He started his own religion, 30s. But his religion was based on some other dude, right? Like it's like old school fucking witchcraft. Old school.
He borrowed from a lot of.
Yeah. We talked about it last time, where one of the rituals included like a fresh born baby and shit like that.
Yes,
and like Ozzy Osbourne, Led Zeppelin, they all kind of like
That's why he bit the hat, the bat and shit.
Well, that was more of the cocaine, but yeah, sure.
He was under the influence at the time.
Yeah. It's a lot of the stuff that also like Anton LaVey took up, kind of being a free spirit in a way.
Jim Jones, they said, took after the Black Panthers a little bit in his process and starting up his shit and stuff. So basically the Bay has just been filled with the ism and the energy, the game. Right. Everybody comes here for something.
Yeah, Hayden Ashbury was full with like the people doing Thelema and shit.
Yep.
So that's like we talked about this earlier. You talked about satanic imagery in hip hop that you.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast, Joe Budden podcast. They brought up,
but just because like ritualistic stuff's in everything, not just in like like it's part of everyday life.
Yeah, to an extent. Something as simple as doing the Pledge of Allegiance back in the day was, if you want to look at it as ritualistic, kind of was.
Right. It may not be spiritual, but it's definitely ritualistic.
Yes.
I think a lot of the images actually come back from older sources. Yeah. So like you see like a lot of the symbol, like the as above, so below. That actually dates back to like Mithraism in the ancient.
The Baphomet? You talking about?
Yeah. So like the Baphomet. Yeah. But that
because you said that didn't start as evil.
Yeah, it didn't. It came from like Mithraism in ancient Roman times. Like it was a secret society, but like that type of imagery, you could see everywhere how it got adapted. Even in Catholicism, you see Jesus going like It's just how it's used and how it's interpreted. Like a lot of people say, oh well, it's trying to point to Jesus.
You don't have to go that far. We look at that. The Nazis took the swastika from Hindu religion or whatever, and they turned it into a whole.
It's a bunch of spiritual warfare.
Yes,
and the point with it in hip hop is nasty. It looks
what's not like what is
like Doja Cat and what's his face, the Old Town Road kid.
Lil Nas X.
Yeah. They're trolls is who they're known as, and then they do shit like this because it's shock value marketing.
Shit,
and that is
Didn't the Weeknd do some shit too? Like the Weeknd had some like
some stupid
666 or some shit. Yeah,
I know what
Travis Scott to an extent, a large extent.
And I know what Lil Nas X did with the blood and the shoes
and the Air Max.
What did Doja Cat do specifically? I know she's kind of a jerk online. Like she's like, I don't like my fans.
She's got a lot. She got a new song, and in the video, she's damn near dressed up like a demon, and there's all just kinds of demonic shit in there to sell because it's shock value and it's art. But sometimes I think people are too naive or just don't care about the spiritual meanings of it.
For sure.
Not saying that you need to be super Christian in order to be good spiritually, but you do got to understand, it's hella energy going on right here. It's multiple universes of energy on some Spider-Man shit, and you start fucking with stuff like that. You do
I feel
a lot of detriment.
Yeah.
Is there a truth to the entertainment industry, from what you know of like people joining the Masonry to become a certain level of famous and stuff like that?
No.
That is all like,
That's all just speculative and by coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah. I have heard that before, that a lot of people try to join to different societies because
There's a lot of different societies too. Like Freemasons, like the Nike of.
Yes, there you go. That's a good way of putting
The
it.
most popular.
The Hellfire back in the day.
Hellfire Club.
There's a fucking
over
Skull
in
and Bones.
England and Ireland.
Yeah. There's hella
Skull and
different.
Bones is like
Skull and Bones is like you gotta be Halliburton.
Here's the thing about the Hellfire Club, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're just a bunch of aristocrats that like having
Parties.
Outside of marital sex and parties. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to everybody.
Eyes wide shut part.
Probably.
I get- well,
Ben Franklin was in them, right?
He was invited, but he declined.
How do you know?
How do we know?
Okay, from what?
Well, all this shit we're
like,
talking about. How do you know?
It's stuff that like
everything is spec. I mean,
back in the day,
there's a lot of
people
rumors
wrote
about
letters to each other, and had diaries.
But let's be real. Ben Franklin was impregnating his slaves. He was at them freaky ass parties.
He had them at his house. And you don't need to be in a
come on
ritual to
now.
do freaky shit. Like
He was at the freak parties. I don't believe that Ben Franklin declined. Because if you think about it, at the time, a lot of the slave masters were doing it, but it was like, if you was out like, you made a baby with him. Imagine being white
Thomas
and looking
Jefferson?
at other white folks like, what's wrong with you? So he was into wild shit is the point that I'm saying.
But also when you got like unlimited power, man, that's where like some of those what is it, the fucking Bohemian Grove and all that shit, like there's people with
here in the Bay Area.
here in the Bay Area, back to the Bay, being
Wasn't that shit low key in Jurassic Park? In one of the latest Jurassic Parks, they was in somewhere in the woods in the Bay Area, and it was a super rich house. And they had the dinosaurs on display. That was where's the Bohemian shit that y'all talking
Bohemian's like up in the
near
Redwoods, right?
Sonora.
Yes.
Sonora, yeah.
about? Look at the latest Jurassic Park, and they was in there. So it'd be a little imagery like that, little messaging. And why am I seeing this in Jurassic Park?
Also, the whole Bohemian Grove and how the dude leaked it. It also kind of like, I don't know, if it was something like that, I don't think it would be leaked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we really would ever hear about.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah. Because there's,
So like, I want to go back to like the Skull and Bones. Like, that's one prime good example of how it's invitation only. You have to be from this type of elite background.
George Bush was in it. Yeah.
And those groups started as an anti-Masonic group.
Right.
Like all these.
You're like the Illuminati too.
Yeah. Well, not at all.
No,
No?
remind me, which
No.
university is Skull and Bones located? It's one of the Ivy Leaguers, but I can't remember.
Off the top of
I
my
was
head.
actually going to ask
Yale?
that. Can we?
Yeah, it's Yale.
Yeah.
And I like how in recent years they've actually expanded
Princeton or
and
Yale,
allowed
I
like
don't know what- yeah.
women and people of color
Yes.
to join.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool.
Can we actually take a step back for people who don't know, like me? What is the difference between Freemasons, Illuminati, Skull? You know what I mean? Because like to someone who doesn't know about this stuff, I thought it was all like kind of the same thing or versions of the Illuminati and stuff.
Same.
So,
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
So for listeners who don't know,
Skull and
Illuminati
Bones is
doesn't
basically a
exist no more.
college fraternity for one. Like,
So-
is putting it simple, but
So let's go back to Freemasonry. It started as basically a fraternal order,
Like a union?
Yeah, basically. That's
that's how I felt when I joined the electrical union. We had to take an oath.
Oh my God.
We had to take an oath in front of a group of
can you let him talk?
No. Yeah, I'm
He isn't talking.
No. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. So it started. There's speculative, and so there's a lot of speculation. So they started as like a stoneworkers guild.
Yeah.
To be a Freemason, to be a free man, you would be able to travel across countries. Actually
Building shit.
Yeah, and moving your way up your craftsmanship. Like learning different levels. That's why they had certain codes and stuff like that, different passwords. So that way, when you went to another place, to go work on a cathedral or whatever, you knew that the guy would recognize you as that. Yeah,
handshake.
They would know you as that level of craftsmanship. So
Okay.
that way you can move up. That eventually later, and that was a good way of educating people too. Like
Sure.
under the table,
under the
because these people were wanted to be kept in the dark. This was during the medieval ages.
Okay.
And then afterwards, they started the fraternal aspect of it to just teach these teachings and move on, and so that's that one. And then came like the Rosicrucians. That's another main one that came out of during the French Revolution. They started passing out manuscripts, basically saying that you don't need to go to church. God is within yourself, And so these ideas of illumination, self-illumination, that's where a bunch of these different orders sprung up from. So the Illuminati in particular came from like the Rosicrucians. That's
more scientists too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they want
during the Enlightenment era.
Exactly. They wanted to break away. And then there was the more famous Illuminati group was through Adam Weishaupt. I can't pronounce the last name. Weishaupt. So he was one of the main ones that tried to break away, and you capitalize on that name of Illuminati. And he was more of a famous, but that one fizzled away within like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
But there's other orders using that same name.
So when the regular average person hears Illuminati, right? That is
that invokes that period of time where they were trying to
break away,
and
but that no longer exists.
That correct.
What I've heard also is like the church use that term to demonize like Illuminati,
anything else,
because it's like
it's a catch-all, it's a catch-all, like that, and that's what it over even. Today we hear about it's satanic. It's just like the go-to
Illuminati's you guys. Yeah. Anything that's not religious or anti-religious is.
But even the Satanists and the whole anti-LaVey tradition, they don't even believe in Satan. They do not believe in Satan.
What's it called? Like a atheist group.
Yes. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they knew, like they were against the church also, but they knew those images like fuck with those people.
Exactly.
And that's I think that like we talk
trolling.
About like, trolling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Trolling. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it comes down to.
Because it's gonna cause a reaction.
And then that's why they're even to this day they're fucking with like different levels of Congress. Like the whole separation of church and state.
Yeah.
They want the Christian imagery in front of the Capitol and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna put the 10 Commandments up in front of the Capitol, we want our statue of Baphomet. With the kids around.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just next level trolling to show the dichotomy or the irony of like separation of church and state, and even on like abortion rights and different different things like that. They're the forefront of those political changes.
So are you still Christian now, or should we keep going?
What you mean?
Have you converted yet to?
No, Satanism. I still don't fuck with the devil.
Fucking with you.
No, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of. Even I think on both ends, both the super religious and the super non-religious, in both of them is a lot of illegitimacy. Like they both be on some bullshit.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't good and evil forces.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
And I think even if you're trolling and proving a point, a lot of times in doing that, you took it so far because your ego allowed you to. Now you being detrimental. Now you putting out terrible energy, and it's harming even your folks. Didn't Anton LaVey? I thought didn't they sacrifice people and shit like that? Wasn't they on some weird?
I know, because they were very public about letting people in their temple. I mean, maybe in private.
They pretended to. They pretended to.
Yeah.
Only
effigies or whatever.
Yeah.
They would
Only to troll.
They were cynical than a motherfucker.
He didn't let his kids watch TV, right?
Oh wow.
That's telling me. Yeah, I saw an interview with his like
thing JP just made up.
His kids. Will you shut the fuck up, Marcos, with that shit? I watch shit, bro. I don't just sit home and fucking.
I would believe it.
That's a clip right there for the board.
He didn't like modern music at the time. I mean, his music was terrible, but like he did like organ.
Yeah, well, he was a musician. Yeah, he played. Yeah, he was an organist at a carnival. So a lot of his friends were like the circus freaks.
There's a video of him playing that song like in the organ. And he didn't like modern music because it was like
it's influential.
Is that why that some of those songs are like creepy too?
Yeah.
Like the carnival songs, like the
maybe
like if you put that
to enhance the freak.
But knowing
that shit's creepy if you put it in the right situation.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
But knowing like knowing that he had a background in circus, like that lets you know everything. Like there's a level of con, and there's also a level of how to make people react to shit.
Oh, Cordes.
You were fucking looking at something behind me, dude.
No, it's Cordes.
But yeah, I agree with you. There is for sure like energy. There's real, like there is,
entertainers and speakers are in some. They're like masters of ceremonies, if you will. Like they say with the MC, because they are in charge of moving this energy around, and there's different energies they could tap into, and you could argue that, oh well, the energy is just here, I'm just making use of it, but no, you're doing it successfully, right, or the other.
I was just watching an interview. Do you remember that show in Mexico, La Mano Peluda?
Yes.
It's this show. It was this old talk radio show in Mexico where they would discuss, paranormal, witchcraft, especially in Mexico, because that's like it's funny. I mentioned this last time. There's an episode of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror where Flanders is really the devil, and he tries to buy Homer's soul. Remember that episode? And then he does a line. Oh God, these things are always easier in Mexico. well, like this show, it had a very popular. Remember that Josue guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was the guy, the host of the show died. Apparently, when they were doing this. This guest, he was a frequent guest on the show. He like did a lot of rituals, and he was going crazy. A lot of stuff was happening around him. He lost his family, and was losing his mind. And then one day they went with the host, and a priest, I believe, to do like an exorcism. Then the day after, both the priest and the guy died of a heart attack. The host of the show died, and apparently like there was this thing where he shook his hand. And he made sure he touched the ring. It was a weird, it was a weird thing. That guy did the guy who had the witchcraft thing done to him or whatever that he was dabbling with. I saw him on a podcast. This was recent, and he talked about how like the ritualistic stuff. So it's a lot bigger in our life than we really know. And one of the things he talked about was lyrics and music, how you can sell your soul. You could do witchcraft for yourself, and you could also get people to do it by like he mentioned when you sing a song and it's with that purpose, and then when you do this to sing it, they're signing off themselves. Like there's ways to do that. There's ways to do that in rituals.
Okay, you're laughing. How much of this is real? How much of this is bullshit?
And I'm not saying it's real, by the way, you fuck. All right, I'm just saying this is what I've heard.
What other people have said.
I think there's truth.
Common theories.
No,
who knows?
He's laughing though. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of rituals are like that. The call and response type of.
Yeah.
Like even the Catholic Church, when you like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's always this back and forth. I mean.
And the Catholic Church, that call and response should be boo boo. It sounds demonic in there every time.
Yeah.
Especially if it's Latin.
When they make us do the Our Father, and most of these motherfuckers don't know the words, it just goes.
Wait, what church do you go to where nobody knows the Our Father?
Fucking, I would go. I ain't gonna shout out the church. I ain't gonna disrespect church. My church was in Hayward.
Okay, you need to go to a different church.
Hey, and every time someone's possessed, they speak Latin too. It's like I don't know.
A lot of the Latin is they're powerful words. Like they were purposely chosen. They were translated from earlier Greek texts.
Right.
A lot of it is powerful. Like you have like the rituals, like the Arjuspe, Hisopo. I know a bunch of the Latin chants, but it serves a purpose. So like when they sprinkle the holy water,
power of the tongue,
or the incense, like it's very for a specific. All that stuff. Yeah, it's for a specific purpose.
So there is truth to that. Like there is like the whole.
Yeah.
Okay, so when people talk about selling their soul to the devil and stuff like that, what is there any truth to that? What in your experience, and how does somebody do that to get famous?
Well, hold on now.
I think
he's trying to get his TikTok up.
To get famous, how would somebody just do that? Like, can you go online?
You probably would do that shit, huh?
I mean, if we were trying to get the voice party,
let me find out if this is real, and then if it is, let me think about it.
I think it's highly psychological. Like if you could convince yourself that you are doing this for some higher reason, then anything's possible. So again, back to like the whole concept of summoning demons. If you're able to abstract that part of your own psyche and manifest it in physical form, and have it and turn that into your willpower, like, oh, I want money. You as a entity you're basically pulling out that trauma from you, like that negative side of you, and manifesting in physical form and turning it into something positive.
So that's what it is more.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, I'm going to sell my soul," it's that energy that you're putting out into a manifestation, either physical or psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
So
As a Man Thinketh. You read that book.
So you have like the whole like was it Robert Johnson and the Crossroads when he went to go sell soul to the devil at the Crossroads to learn how to play the guitar. Yeah, it's that same like that.
So do you know, do you know about that story?
No.
That's like the first blues musician, right?
Correct.
Do you know the story? Can you tell it?
Yeah. So there was this man named Robert Johnson, and according to him, he went out to the Crossroads late one night because somebody told him to go out there, and that's how you get good. So out of nowhere, a big guy stepped out of the shadows, took his guitar, tuned it for him, handed it back, and after that point, he was able to play guitar.
And that was the birth of dun 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 dun.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got
the Delta
like
Blues
hella good within like days, which surprised everybody. That's the story.
Yes, but I mean, there's more of a reason. Some people say that he was actually studying with another musician.
For sure.
Of course. I mean, but those type of stories are really popular. Like if you could trace back even that story to like ancient voodoo,
Paganini
to voodoo,
too, or that musician too, who also the violin.
Paganini, yeah.
He supposedly has weird hands and
yes, yeah. So like, it's very common theme around the world, and it comes from different traditions. Even the voodoo tradition, the different Santeria. You have all those different type of traditions where you're trying to manifest some type of form, or basically call onto that entity to help and take it as you will. I mean, if you want to invoke the devil himself, I mean, I don't believe he exists, but if you believe in it so much,
it's going to be real.
It's going to be real.
People will have heart attacks because of like fear they give themselves to.
Exactly.
I think I mentioned it too. I don't know if I mentioned last time you were here. Someone was doing like witchcraft on me, but then I also like talked to someone was like, I mean, if you want to believe it, it's going to happen. Now that you found out that person tried to do something to you, that's like a big part of because supposedly it wasn't just me, it was like my family, but it was a picture or my name in a water cup with a candle next to it, and they were doing something for me, not good. And then they also created like a fake invitation to a funeral of my funeral.
Oh shit.
Like that was like the thing that it was a long period of time, and it felt like it was more of a mind control thing.
So back to that. What if it's like the next level of trolling?
Right.
It's within your. They're getting to your psyche.
And it did at one point because they're doing this, and then the next bad thing that happened, I was like, is that fucking?
Because I definitely don't believe in hexes and curses and stuff like that. If you're susceptible to those suggestions, then of course it's going to affect you.
Yeah. This puts Stephen King's like Thinner in a new perspective. I just need to run into some crazy old person on the road that walks up to me and goes, Thinner, and then maybe I'll believe I'm cursed.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
lose so much weight.
And this is what was told to me about that kind of thing is powerful organizations do that, but on a massive scale to people and
they manipulate your mind. Yeah, the power of your mind is that's that book I just said. As a Man Thinketh is basically as you think, so you shall be.
But then there is a lot of unexplained stuff. Like we're talking about. Okay, what if that poster of The Conjuring just fell on its own by accident?
Okay, so I had this experience right where this it was.
You shared it the first time he came. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe. But The Conjuring, they were doing some film students were doing something in Berkeley. We were at a bar and they're like, hey, we'll give you a free poster and a dad hat with The Conjuring thing on it if you let us take a picture with you. I'm drunk. I'm like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? I want a free hat. And I brought it home, and we have these like the specific thing was we have 2 candles hanging on our mantle in our living room, and they're on hooks, and it's kind of like you have to take them off, right? They have glass around it. And I was in the kitchen, my brother was in his room, my mom was in her room, and those things just flew off, crashed. And then little things like that started happening around the house. Things would fly over. Things were just happening all around the house. We could not explain them. No earthquakes were happening, nothing. And it was like things that, like the hook thing, was like, those can't just fly up. Like those can't just fall off the hooks. Like the hook has to either fall, and that would have hit the mantle first and landed near the fire pit. It landed in the middle of the fucking room, and no one was there. How do you explain that? You know what I mean? So like, I guess like energies, I believe in bad energies and stuff like that, but like how does someone explain those paranormal?
If it wasn't a horror movie poster, would you still think it was? So that's where it kind of like, you know.
Well, it's a horror movie poster that specifically deals with demons.
Right.
So
that's what made
carries
me
an
believe it a little more.
interesting weight.
Are you
with
opening?
that.
Are you opening yourself to stuff by watching?
I don't believe so. I believe if you're susceptible, if you're in some way in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, that's pretty freaky stuff, or like, I mean, if you already had some preconceived notion about it, even your subconscious, I think that might open it up to, because like, even after the people were watching The Exorcist when it came out,
That's true.
Like by our standards, that's not scary, but like back then people were passing out theaters, and then all these cases just exploded. Like,
That's true.
Like just
Everybody was like, I'm possessed.
Yeah.
I heard about that when that movie came out.
So it's just that part of your psyche in the back of your mind. It's just, to some degree, maybe.
You bring up a good point though, because we talked about Copper Spoon earlier. This is a place I do comedy shows in Oakland. It's an old, probably like 1930s building. I have heard about stuff that happens there. There's like 2 rooms. There's the bar area with like tables for people to eat, and then next door, like the next room is a comedy where we do comedy at. It's a pretty, like, what is the size of
decent sized room,
like the size of this, like all the way to the garage
dining room area.
And I brought someone with me. Like, we were eating dinner. I brought someone with me. We're sitting down at the bar, just us together, and then there's like a group of 4 people on the other side. It was like 11:30. They were ready to close, so it was just just us in there. We're sitting next to that room, and then my friend goes to the bathroom right before that room. I see there's no one there, and we're sitting there just hanging out, and then she comes out and she's like, did you see who was knocking on the door? Like, they knocked on the door, and I was like, there's nobody there. Like, I was on my phone and I didn't see anybody. Like, there's for sure nobody there. And then we told the owner, and then they told us all these stories. It was one of those things where like there was no preconceived notion, and then I hear all these stories about like they see shadow people. We talked about last time. They see.
I think there was. Like,
I have a video. I have a video too.
I do believe in like residual energies. I really do. Like, I think.
What does that mean?
So like, I think as a human being, like you have your spirit, your soul, but then you have like this shell, like, and that's the emotion that you present, that you push out. So a lot of these people are in a constant negative. They have this negative shell. Like, you feel some people, I don't know if you ever had somebody, like, you're talking to somebody, and after you talk with them for like 30 minutes, you feel absolutely fucking drained.
Yeah.
So like, that is like their shell. It just needs that attention to thrive, to survive. And so after they pass away, that shell is just that residualness of that individual that still lingers on, and it needs that attention. It knocks, it throws things, and it's for itself to maintain itself, to try to like not fade away. I don't know if it's part of like that ego part of the brain, maybe, because
it's aside from that, like, the knock, one of the bartenders brought in his kid one day, and he was closing up. It was just him and his kid. His kid mentioned in that room he saw a shadow walking in. In the video they showed me, you see a silhouette, like if somebody's shadow walking past one of the tables, and it drops a bottle. Drops a bottle.
Wow.
And so yeah.
So it's complicated, but yeah, I think that's the main.
You gonna go to Copper Spoon soon?
I'll probably still be there, but it'll be early. It'll be like 7:00. I ain't gonna be there at 11.
So there's instances like that where just the residualness of I want to say past people, and then in some other instances of what I've seen, it's more like almost like a photograph, like a video, that like a 3D hologram, and the person's just stuck in the act. And it's just, they're unaware. They're just doing everyday thing.
Like when they capture a picture.
Yeah. So I want to mention what happened to my son. I haven't told you yet, but I guess like a year ago now, he woke up in the middle of the night, and he's sleeping by himself in the living room. He looks up. He sees this old lady with a cane coming from the outdoor door, coming through the kitchen area and into the other room. He of course gets all freaked out. He's asking me, what was that? I don't know. Who was this old lady? I thought it was mom, but it was an old lady. She had a cane. And it turns out that my wife's grandma used to live in that same room, and she would have a cane. And he described her perfectly. So it's almost like a snapshot. I was like, did you feel scared? Did you feel like, I don't want to freak him out or anything, say it's like a ghost or anything. We just kind of dismiss it. Oh, you were just still sleeping, and yeah, if you didn't feel nothing, then it was nothing. It was,
right.
It was just like, yeah, we're trying not to freak him out, but the description he gave of the grandma was like, it was dead on, and so I think it's almost like a video that kind of plays.
Do you think so? People get stuck.
Yeah,
or do you think it could be a memory that's already kind of in the DNA of?
No, the best way to put it's just like a residual 3D hologram of like that,
like a photograph.
Yes,
but
within this area, it's not necessarily conscientious of you being there watching it.
But the problem with that is sometimes it is.
That's
and that goes back to the shell aspect of it. That's when the shell needs that attention. That's why if you've ever seen like people playing with the Ouija boards and stuff like that, it will tell you straight up half truths just to get your attention. Like, oh, I want to know more, and then it gets you.
But this photograph doesn't want your attention.
Exactly. It doesn't know it exists.
So there's plenty of times where these, what we would call spirits or something like this, these photographs do not even know that you're there.
Exactly.
Multiverse.
So that's what we see.
But they're not even thinking, right?
They're not
images.
thinking. Yeah, they're not.
Images.
They're just images.
Unlike the shell, which seems to be emotional at least.
Exactly.
It's a shame that it's all negative emotion.
Like in Dr. Sleep, it's pictures in a box. It's just pictures in a box.
Well,
but that's the thing. Like I believe that, but also like when it comes to like I had a friend who, this is a story he told me a long time ago. It's he went somewhere one time and had like a weird feeling in Mexico, and then he came back, and he would get phone calls from my unknown number, and it started off with a dream of like this lady, and then it turned into like at one time it did turn into voices outside his window, and then phone calls with that same voice. And in dreams, he like saw like this person wanted his attention. That's why you say that. It like wanted like, please, like talk to me. Like it was a very needy, sad woman and crying. And like in the phone call, he told me it was like the one that freaked him out the most, because it was like, oh, this isn't just in a dream. And that's where it kind of like, because it called him by his name.
So that's the other controversial thing. Like, is it? Can it build up enough energy to?
Is it like, or is it like something?
Did you think that? Is that what you're saying? Like, could it do that, or do you psychologically think that it did that?
I have no idea.
It seems
because I've heard of different places, like different hospitals, where they're getting patient like calls, like phone calls from the patient in a room that the patient died years ago.
911 calls where they got a 911 call from someone at a house, like,
and they're clearly talking, they're having a full-on conversation, they're responding,
they're
responding to every question that you're asking. It's not like some automated response,
right?
So whether or not consciousness still exists within the shell, that's a whole nother aspect
depend
of it.
It could depend on the shell and what the person, what the person was like before they died, right? Yeah. Like, as far as how much of
person,
well, I mean, I would imagine the patients talking to the doctors probably are not running around trying to scare the shit out of them. But it seems like they're like, yes, no, my hip is fine now, but I would like some orange juice. That seems a little bit more benign than like knocking over your glass or tormenting you through the Ouija board.
Or like, you remember Art Bell's show?
Oh, gee.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of Art Bell. It's like paranormal stories, like all night.
That's what I grew up on.
Very famous, very famous show. He had someone sent in the story. People would send him stories, like, he would read them over. And this is the one I was thinking about, like we were talking about this, is he got a story sent from someone who worked at the jail where they executed Ted Bundy. And he said that this person said that a couple of people would go into the electric chair room, and they would see Ted Bundy sitting there laughing at them. And this is after he died, obviously, And it was also like, when I heard that, I thought maybe it's like a demon thing, or maybe it's, some kind of like guilt, because guilt will make you, it can fuck with your head. It's been proven, like it can have you, what's the word?
Well, you just get so.
With that, but you also like sometimes like, it can trigger you to have hallucinations.
Sure.
So it's like, was it like a bit of that, or was it?
Oh, that's kind of like the Winchester thing.
That too.
Yeah.
Have y'all? I've never been to that house.
I
Have
haven't
y'all?
either.
We're gonna go, you and I, bro. We're gonna go take.
Wait, let's do a voice party thing because my friend works there.
Ooh. Does your friend have stories, or is it just like, no, this is like Chuck E. Cheese?
She's into that stuff. I'm sure she has some stories, but like I've also driven past the house. It's not that big.
What do you think about that place?
I've heard stories, but nothing too crazy. Like, I kind of experienced something when I was there, like
Really?
the first times that I was there, but it wasn't. It was more like, again, it was like more of the photograph type of thing, but within my, I guess, within my
Imagination.
yeah.
I've heard Alcatraz is scarier.
Because I used to because back in the day, like I would see some crazy shit, and it's not like I was going crazy or anything, but like I had to block it out because
What do you mean you saw crazy shit? I think you talked about that a little bit last time, right?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
So like I would see like, it's almost like watching a TV channel, like an old school TV, and somebody just flipping through each one. And sometimes you would get static, sometimes you would see something, but somebody's constantly flipping. And once in a while, it gets stuck on the channel, and then you see like just random shit. There's no context of it, so you can't really predict what's going on or what's happening or what has happened.
Like some dude in really old-fashioned clothes committing a murder.
Yeah, you never know. So like, and that used to happen to me a lot. So I don't know if I talked about this last time.
We talked a little bit about it. 'Cause that's what got you to go after like the secret society stuff to kind of learn about.
Yeah. So like, so I was in the classroom and I was just getting like, it was like one of those days. It was just boom, boom. The flashes were coming in, and then I just got stuck on one particular channel or whatever when I was looking at somebody. I was glancing over at somebody, and I saw somebody getting shot. And I saw all the trauma that was happening. It was disgusting. It was bad. Somebody was getting shot up, and they were there holding their friend. I found out a week later he was in for school for the next week or so. Turns out his friend was gunned down right in front of him.
Oh shit.
And so, whether or not what I saw had already happened, I don't know. Or whether it was going to happen.
You got a preview of it?
Yeah, I got a preview of it. And it was just, you don't just see the channel, you're feeling the emotions that go with it. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, I had to close it down. I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I'm already going through like so much of my own shit. I don't need this. So that's when I made the conscious decision to like, ignore everything, and then after that point, I haven't been able to fully open that door.
Yeah.
I was just mentioning to you guys that watched Celebrity Ghost Stories. You ever seen that one? Celebrity Ghost Stories. Yeah. There's the guy that played Bubba in Forrest Gump, the real actor. His story, he basically he was always been close with his mom, and he was living in LA as an actor, and he would visit his mom every once in a while. So one day he went to visit his mom. His mom's like, "Don't come in the house. Get out of here. Go." He's like, "What the hell?" It was weird. It happened like 2 times where she was like, sorry, you can't visit right now. I'm busy. I got stuff going on." Like, okay. And then it got weird. So then finally one day she was okay with him coming over, and she had to talk to him why she kicked him out like twice, rejected him. He had a friend growing up who was always getting in like street shit, always getting involved in, carjackings and gang related stuff. And I guess one day he got into some shit, and he came over to look for him at his mom's house. And his mom had a thing where she could see stuff, or she saw stuff. And she said she saw death on him, like something bad's about to happen. He was going to him, the friend was going to him because he was always getting him out of trouble. Yeah. Especially now that he was an actor, he could probably, but he said he didn't want, she said, "I don't want my son around this guy because I see like some bad's about to happen to him." Mm-hmm. 2 days later, he got shot in the head by his own cousins because he fucked somebody over. And that's what, like, she didn't want
him to be around.
Around if that happened. And I've heard of that happening, like, well, they can't see, like, they see something around you, like something bad's about to happen to this fool. Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be.
Sense type.
Yeah.
Mother's intuition type.
That too. Yeah.
Okay, so my aunt has this thing where she can see, because we've all seen stuff in my family, right? Spirits, whatever. But she has this thing where she kind of can see things happening. She, not in perfect detail, but like this one situation, she went up to my cousin and she was like, "Hey, how's your Uncle Dale doing?" And on that side of the family. And she was like, "He's doing fine, whatever," right? She goes, "I had a dream about him. Like, he keeps coming to my head. Please tell him to go to the doctors. He needs to go to the doctors now. I don't know what it is, but he needs to go." for like a month or two. He wouldn't go. They told him, right? He's like, whatever. Like, I don't believe it. I feel fine. He finally, something happened. He went to the hospital and he was like, dude, you should have came like 2 months ago.
Wow.
They told him that. They're like, you could have died. And, you know, she was right. And we were like, how the hell do you explain that?
Animals have that. Like,
But I think all of us have that ability. It's just how receptive we are to the outside forces. Because like for me, like I used to have a lot of dreams where it's almost like the actual situation or happening is kind of interwoven within the dream realm. So I would have dreams like, of an earthquake, but in my dream it would be like overly dramatic and blah blah blah. But that key focus of the earthquake was there, and then later on that day it would happen. So that used to happen to me a lot, where I would always dream something, but it's interwoven within the dream, almost as like a symbolic nature. But my dream would take over, and it would continue on as a regular dream,
right.
or a nightmare or whatever. But I've noticed that within my family, like they would all say the same thing. Like even with the death knock, remember the whole, like the whole,
or the lechuzas too.
Yeah. It's like it's almost like this foreboding signal to you if you're receptive enough for it. So whenever I would hear the 3 knocks, it meant somebody was going to die, and it's always within that. It felt like I was awake, but I was really asleep, and I would hear it loud as day. Boom, boom, boom.
3 knocks.
3 knocks. That means somebody would die, somebody that I was close to, or somebody that I knew. And that's happened even up until recently. With
that being said, I don't think you should go to the San Francisco competition today, bro. I just have a feeling.
Don't tell him that.
I'm fucking with you.
Don't you wish that evil
I'm
on
just
me,
kidding,
Ricky
bro.
Bobby?
No, but the lechuza thing is that's an owl. There's this belief in, like, especially Mexico. I saw a video, someone saying Mexicans are scared of owls.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing that, like, it kind of predicts a death is near. Like,
well, there's 2 versions.
There's 2 versions of it. Yeah,
you have one that says it's particularly that it's a witch that turns into
like a skinwalker.
Yeah. And they go around tormenting certain people and things like that. And the other one is that it's
if a death is near. If a death is near, you hear owl outside your window. Like someone in your family or friend is probably.
Yeah.
And that happened to me. This is a trip, bro. Because I didn't hear the first one, but it because I lost like 3 people in 2019, and for the first one it did like there was an owl, but there's always owls in the area, so it's also like I don't know.
If you live in an area where
you went to my house, like hella trees and shit. Yeah. So it was like, but it was, I did notice it, but I also had that that thought in my head,
and that's how omens work.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a banshee. The Irish banshee shows up at the family home when someone's about to die.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
what is a banshee?
A banshee is a spirit in Irish folklore that comes to the household of an Irish family when it senses that death is near.
It's an animal?
So no, it's like it's an old woman in a cloak.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking it was like a lizard or something.
Corporeal.
It was a car in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Last time we came, we talked about UFOs, but like now it's fucking.
Now it's real.
Yeah.
Now it's like
we always kind of knew it. Like people didn't freak out about it because like we knew. Like, I mean, obviously we don't know
details. Finally quit covering it up. They're just like, well,
I still think they're covering.
They have
going
to.
back to what y'all said earlier. If something like that really happened, I don't think it would leak. When they decide to give us the information, that's because we got years of other shit that we're hiding still. So here's a little appetizer.
But like, also,
chew on this for a while we give money to Ukraine.
Nobody cared once they
announced it. No, they thought it was going to be like this crazy news, but it was like, dude, we already like the only thing they said. The only thing they said was like,
the fuck. Yeah.
The only thing they said was, it wasn't human. We're like, no shit.
Or they don't know what it is, which is the real,
non-human biologics were found in there.
Non-human.
Right, and that's all they said.
I didn't hear the whole report.
And so, like,
amongst us.
I mean, it was cool for comedians to, throw, which I heard all the, what if Earth was the
A different version of
the
Mexicans,
trash,
bro.
the
That's
Florida
what it was.
of all the planets?
That's funny.
And they just college
That's
class
funny.
aliens crash here. They're always drunk and
If they're
stuff.
crashing, they gotta be real stupid, bro. They can't be.
That's why they just leave their shit here because they're like
You
immature
honestly
aliens.
think they want to visit this place on purpose? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, but
Well,
but
that thing like in Vegas, the stuff
Explore.
that happened in Vegas, that was kind of like, that was.
Yeah, and that was
It's real video of cops saying
and
like,
that happened right after the announcement too.
yeah.
It was
Do you guys know about that?
no,
What happened in Vegas?
It was a video.
Do you know
that
the
went viral or
full
something?
story?
I don't know the full story.
Okay, but the gist of it,
That so there was a
family
family
barbecuing or something on
Oh, no,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
You heard about that?
It was in the back. They caught it on camera briefly. Something walking
The
through
cops,
the
the
backyard or
cops
some shit.
saying they had heard multiple calls about it in the video.
well, explain it. Explain
Okay,
it. Don't
so
just
jump in if you.
Okay,
I'll jump in for whatever.
So supposedly some kid called the police saying that there was like a ship or something,
Something
and,
landed
and
in the
yeah,
backyard.
in their backyard with these beings, these really tall beings, and when that happened, there was another police officer like halfway, like a few blocks away, that said that they saw something kind of streaking down from the sky. So when they got the call, the cops like, I'm gonna go see what that was, and then they went and they didn't see anything, right? They didn't find anything, but the family was so freaked out that they saw what they saw that like, yeah, it turned into this big old thing. Like I guess they even heard it on the ceiling, right, on the roof, right?
There's also a video. Wasn't there a video of like the light?
Yeah, like of.
can you pull that
something
up? Can you find that?
He sent it to me a long time ago. I can find it later and show it to you.
Okay.
But the thing is, the thing that's kind of like, I guess suspicious is there's footage of them going to the backyard when all that, like the beans were, but there's no videos of that.
of the
And that's where it's
actual
kind of
beans.
like how convenient, But it's also, who knows if they maybe was, and
And they can get out of there.
Everybody's a troll now, though.
and
too.
everyone's
That's
a
what I
troll now
hate.
too.
Yeah.
And it did
You
happen.
can't trust shit online.
No,
No.
and that's the problem. Is
But that sighting coincided with the police report
reports.
of them saying,
yeah,
seeing
that's where
something.
it is. And then in the video, the cops are saying, yeah, we got multiple cops. But not to say that the cops can be trusted all the way with those stories too. But they were like, yeah, we got multiple calls for that.
I wouldn't doubt it though. Just like I don't doubt ghosts and the holograms. Whatever. Like I think all that shit is.
Have you ever had
here.
experiences?
Thankfully, no. I don't. None that I can particularly.
Except for that one you said you
I
talked
said-
about like shadow people, kind of.
Yeah.
Which we were gonna talk about a little bit more.
That
about
movie, who I don't know if it was Stephen King. It was some little fucker that comes to you in the middle, a little gnome that comes and sucks your soul.
the
in your
cat's
sleep.
eye?
Yeah.
Oh, my
I
God.
seen that, and then I had a bunk bed. Bunk bed was cool as shit. Slept on the top bunk was my favorite thing to do. One night I hear voices in my room like that couldn't have been my parents because they was too loud and they were too big to not be noticed, and it was like, is he awake? And I was frozen. But my mind was on the movie, like where the kids get sleep paralysis and a little thing. So I'm stuck. I can't move my arms or nothing. And then I woke up and just started cussing up a storm. Who the fuck is that in my room?
How old were you at the time?
10, 11. Other than that, and that's where a lot of this shit, when it comes to spirits and stuff, the children be the most vulnerable, and that's what be making me nervous as a dad. And I also, just based on the movies, because I believe in it, ain't no white babies allowed in my houses. No white kids allowed in my house.
What's
It's
the
just,
racist?
they attract the devil. I don't know. They're starting to be more diverse in these demon movies.
Yeah.
The new Exorcist got a black girl in it. Cut that shit out. Let's leave the racism in there. Leave only white people in there. Don't bring that shit elsewhere.
That is the scariest thing though, when like
White people?
No. Yeah, right. No, when it's like this is an old family story, is when stuff happens and it's so scary that they don't even want to talk about it. Like this happened to my oldest sister in Mexico, and she doesn't remember it now, but at the time I think she was like 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. And this is like rural ass town where you have to go out to the bathroom and
to the corral.
Outhouse?
Yeah, the outhouse. So my aunt went to the outhouse. My parents were in the living room. They were like visiting, and they had my sister there. And my aunt, went to the bathroom. And then when she came back in, my sister, the story, she woke up and she saw my aunt, but then this says something behind her. Like she saw something behind her, and it scared her so much. she screamed so loud she woke up the neighbors. Like that's how loud her scream was. And my aunt did say that she was in the bathroom when she was coming back in. She felt something behind her, so she hurried in.
Oh shit.
So they don't remember what my sister. She never wanted to talk about what she saw, but she said it like at the time it was like the scariest shit she's ever seen. It looked like not human, and like they like the whole town was scared. Like God, what was it? Because my aunt also said that she felt something.
I feel like Latinos in particular, they're so Catholic, you know. But like my mom is the same way, where she'll be like with the Conjuring thing, I wasn't afraid of it at first, and like it was some weird stuff happening, and then she freaked me out. But she had that preconceived notion. We never watched horror films growing up, right? Now I still don't, because like I didn't grow up watching it, but like the whole thing was everything was the devil, blah blah blah. Don't bring that shit in my house. Don't do nothing, blah blah blah. Everything is wrong. Like even like
Amen.
I have a 333 tattoo is the angel number, and that was the devil to her. You know what I mean? Like why do you tattoo the devil shit on your body?
There's stuff like that in every religion, though. Like it's yeah.
But I think they're just so religious that everything that's not
For sure.
is considered demonic.
I definitely think there is a non religious reason to keep your kids from watching certain horror movies as well, and it's because maybe they're a little too young, because then you end up having like real feeling nightmares based off what you've just seen, like, which is what it sounds like your description. You saw a thing about
it influences your dreams,
Yeah, and I think that was on me. I was just scrolling through channels and that shit was on. I was like, oh, shit.
you know, and like maybe a good old black and white with like Frankenstein's monster, whatever. Sure, show that to your 7-year-old. But movie ratings are around for a reason. You know what I mean? Like
no, but that's not why I'm saying.
No, I know it's different.
Hers was pure
it's religion
based.
which is why I started out with. I think there are also non-religious reasons.
Sure.
I think it's the fear.
as
The
well.
fear is what feeds it. Like feeds your subconscious. Feeds you're putting out that energy. So of course it might attract certain things to happen. Like I honestly think, like kids that put out that fear after watching that movie, it could attract who knows what. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Do you think that when people like before they pass on and they're like, I'm gonna be with you always, or if you see this, like my grandma had said, if you see a white butterfly, that's me or something, right?
Yeah,
do you believe in that stuff, or do you think?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Or did like my grandma just pick something really convenient that we would see all the time?
No,
like
I
if you see a
definitely
car, that's me. You know what I mean? It's like I'm always with you. And I'm like,
It's a Honda
I'm gonna say
Civic
that before I die.
Silver.
If you see a car, that's
You
me
see a
looking
crackhead
after
with
you.
crackhead with silver teeth. That's me, Mijo. That's me.
Oh my God.
You ever see a baggie of cocaine? That's me.
we just got the light, so we're gonna close it out soon. But there's something else that you wanted to mention, or any other? We did.
I was just gonna mention like how my grandma, like she was obsessed with horror movies, and she grew up having crazy stuff happen to her like all the time, and she was never scared. She never put out that energy. Like the ghost would slap the shit out of her.
She had
like,
a chancla.
Oh, you did tell me. Yeah.
Like remember last time I told you about that? So yeah, she put out. It's the energy and how you put it out.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're in control of the situation, you don't fear what's going on. You're not going to attract more of that.
Right.
Like, you could just ignore it and it'll dissipate.
And that's why I like
the
watching
mind.
horror. I like hearing those stories, and I, growing up, I had experiences, but I haven't had anything, as of late. And I think it all kind of goes with what you allow to scare you,
Exactly.
When I was writing that horror script I'm writing still currently, it was like 3 a.m. and I fucking a broom fell in my room. And it scared me at the moment, but also I probably left the broom all fucked up,
Yeah.
And it happened at 3 a.m. But
The devil's hour.
yeah. And every once in a while I have that like I wake up at 3 a.m. like, oh shit, like you see it in the movies.
But you also freak yourself out because you constantly.
I'm not freaking out though. I'm just saying, like, I think
constantly watch things though.
Well, that's the point I'm making. I think you kind of like we have internal clocks, like, and that's what I kind of attribute it to. It's not. I do watch a lot of it. I do get entertained by that shit. We share stuff back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not like at night like, oh god, And I think that's I don't know. I think that's the stuff that does fuck with me is like the true crime shit. Like that stuff does like fuck with me more.
Oh yeah, more than Ghostbusters.
That's why
Fuck yeah,
I can't
yeah.
watch that shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
you inviting the energy into that nasty energy.
yeah, and that does. And
Too
then,
Catholic over here.
Nah, that's not even religion. That's a real
That's not even-
power
yeah.
of the tongue. Like even in comedy, a lot of comedians be wondering, why am I depressed and want to kill myself? Bro, you getting up there and shitting on yourself
Yep.
for 5-10 minutes
day.
for the approval of strangers.
Self-depreciation.
Right.
Yeah.
Self-depreciation.
You put
is
your
funny,
energy
but
out there.
Power of the tongue and whatever you think will be, like he said, will become
Power of the
reality.
tongue, man.
Power of the tongue and the mind.
that's why the ladies love me.
There you go.
Nah, but
Say, now I know he's bullshitting. No, I'm joking.
there was one more thing you wanted to mention, or we did. You said the shadow people. That's the one thing you didn't mention.
It's fine. That's fine. Right.
What are the shadow people?
Well, that's
Go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna mention quickly that like growing up, I would see the shadow people, and that seems to be
in dreams or
in reality. And I found out later. It wasn't until Art Bell had a show on it,
the whole episode's great.
and then because I would always see a man with a fedora,
Yeah,
and
the Native American guy that he had, right? That's what you're talking about.
no,
the episode?
no, it was, I don't remember who it was, but different people were calling up saying that they saw the exact same thing.
Fedora.
And I swear to God, one day I looked out the window and I saw the shadow. It was just a shadow, but it was in the forefront between a tree, my room and a tree, and it was there, and he was wearing a fedora, and I would constantly see him. And I found out that later on, that I guess that's a pretty common phenomenon to see the shadow person with a fedora. And so,
And what is the phenomenon of that though? Like,
they just call it the shadow people.
I think I told you.
They don't know what it is.
I told him the story because I had the same thing happen
Mm-hmm.
when I first moved into my last place. I slept with a big ass mirror next to me, and that night, and I know that's a whole other thing, like sleeping with mirrors in the room. But I remember that night I dreamt that there was like 4 or 5 people walking inside the room, and I couldn't move. It was like a dream though. I saw it in a dream, and I do remember seeing a fedora, like a shadow fedora person. And it was
a shadow.
It felt like
I'm gonna freak out.
yeah. Well, it freaked me out. What freaked me out the most though is I watched the film. It's a documentary, The Nightmare. Have you seen that one? No. Where they talk about how it's like not just in the States, like all over the world. People say they have like sleep paralysis where they see someone in the room with a fedora, and there's usually accompanied by like 2 or 3 others.
And that's interesting because the fedora is something that's popular for a very specific slice of time where everyone used to wear it, but not everywhere. So I think it's interesting that all over the world they're seeing men with fedoras, whether that's a cultural connection or not.
In Japan and shit with fedoras.
You know what I mean?
Fucking Lou Vega, Mambo number 5.
So it's just real quick before with the shadow people, like I feel like I've seen shadows, not necessarily a fedora. I don't remember that, but I remember thinking I've seen my grandpa or something, or somebody that
Like
used
a
to own
shadow?
like a shadow. So like some guy, the guy that used to own our house, they called him Grandpa Benford, and he would sit in a rocking chair on our front porch, right? Because back then in Richmond, you could see the ocean from my house. He was one of the first houses in that area. Yeah. So, like I remember when I was little, I used to see someone rocking in a chair in the kitchen all the time when I would sleep in the living room. And so, like, what would that be considered? And it would be a shadow too. Like, it wasn't like I couldn't see a specific. Is that just a hologram going back to that?
I would think so.
Classifies
Yeah, something like that. Just like that.
Yeah, because for me it was.
I haven't seen them lately. Like that when I was like 14, 15 is when I stopped really seeing things. Now I don't see anything.
It's because you're not pure no more, dog.
I've had sex once.
I was gonna say,
You let someone touch your butthole, then I was like, that's it.
going back to the
can't see this shit.
hologram.
I knew that
shit,
was a sin.
based on what he's saying, and maybe Tupac at Coachella was really, you know what I'm saying? Like that was his last night in Vegas.
That's how you end the
They
podcast.
figured out how to harness the energy for entertainment purposes.
Now that goes back to the
Capitalism,
Illuminati, and
y'all.
that's a whole different
Capitalism.
episode. All right.
We'll sell anything.
Next-
Even ghosts.
What you got anything you want to plug? Any new books coming out?
No, nothing.
No?
Nothing.
No plans on
Just-
going back to the Amazon and exploring?
It's like they're already after me, man.
Oh, you gotta.
What is your
we gotta
next
fill you
chapter?
in on that. Yeah.
I'm still waiting. I'm debating it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
That's another thing we could later on do another episode on Coptic tribes that you wanted to talk about.
yeah.
But the Halloween, bro, we need you to come.
Okay. Sure.
What about you, bro? You're in the San Francisco competition right now.
Yes, sir.
Are you at the second round or what is this?
The end of the first round is tonight.
Oh,
And then we find out who moves on at the end of the night. And the next round is next week. And the finals is the following week.
hold the thought. Can we do a little ritual right now to help him get up to the fourth round?
I brought the Ouija board.
Hey, have y'all ever? I believe.
I'm so scared to try that, but I've always wanted to, but I also don't.
Going back to the mind, the power of the mind and shit. That's why I be afraid of psychics. For one, the religion in me is like, oh, this might be the devil. But then also, if they put something in your head, because usually you think I'm gonna pay her $50, you're gonna say, oh my god, look at the lines on your hand, you're gonna be successful. But what if the bitch is like, oh, you better watch out, you got diabetes in your family? Like, what if she says some shit and now your mind is all stuck?
You want to know what my biggest fear about like a Ouija board or like any of like the psychic people is? Like, I kind of believe it, kind of don't, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm terrified to ask them like, will my dreams come true? And then be like, nah.
Yeah.
And then like, I'm like, what the fuck am I wasting my time?
Will you allow it though? Will you allow it?
Okay.
So that's where it kind of
like,
comes in.
my psyche
right?
my psyche would be like, is that just fact?
Just go home, pack it up, and go home.
no,
Then if that's the case, then you don't deserve it.
Everything is always changing.
Yeah.
Like no matter.
So that moment, like
that's
right
one
what you're
thing-
doing right now, it's not gonna happen.
You ever seen The
But
Scorpion
tomorrow,
King, bro?
You might find something that might work.
There you go. Yeah, because I honestly think like nothing's ever set in stone. Like if somebody gives you like even a dire warning, like oh, watch out for this, it's not set in stone. You could always change your future. And I have, I've
As
had
Dr. Strange.
my own
So we
experiences in that too. But
So we could all be famous tomorrow.
it depends on how much effort and how much energy you put out into the world.
Someone refer me to the devil selling.
But it could be like.
Don't worry, I'll sell your soul for you.
The guy that was talking about, like, you know, he did rituals because he wanted to be rich. That Josue guy.
Yeah, Jose, and he killed somebody too for.
Yeah, he's like, I wanted to be rich, and then, you know, I did get rich, but the next day I lost my family.
Yeah,
it's like
somebody killed his family.
You know, they
he said that he had to kill somebody,
and he killed someone
in his family.
Yeah.
He didn't say who or when,
but not like kill. Like
he was like, let me just solidify and do everyone just in case I get the wrong one.
So it's like, yeah, you can become famous tomorrow, but like because you died in a car accident, and after that, everyone discovered your TikTok. So you gotta be specific, bro. You gotta be specific. All right, I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
We should have dressed up for this.
I know, right?
Any your IGs? Anything you want to?
Instagram, JC like Jesus. Ironically, based on the conversation. Look at that. Look. Came with the Lord.
And where they can find your book so they can keep buying your book.
Just go to my website, exploringtraditions.com.
Hey,
there you go.
I've been JD.
I've been Marcos.
I've been Joaquin.
And that's been The Voice Party.
And we're out.
Damn.